and he lost 11 drones. Well, basically 12 drones and 1 queen. He's having to build spine crawlers back behind his mineral line just in case I do that again. So that's a very, very successful harass. But the key is not the harass, it's how you follow it up. And if you look back at my base, you'll see how I'm doing that.
Oh, we already see bunkers going down and the Expo floating over as right on cue. So actually, we're pretty good. We're pretty well synced this time. I'm impressed. I'm not lagging. Definitely excited about that. But yeah, we see, I mean, a great transition. I mean, you've got your tank out, you've got siege mode almost done, and the expansion's down. And I'm going to check the units tab. I mean, we see you are, barely 1 SCV behind now. And I mean, that's huge. I mean, you're playing a 2-base Zerg. You had just gotten your expansion down, and you're not behind at all.
Yeah, I should be ahead. I've screwed up my SCV production. If you notice, I couldn't even transfer very many SCVs. And that was one problem. I was so busy, like, harass, that I just forgot to do the basic stuff. But if you notice, like, look at my base. You see I have 4 barracks. These 3 are technically supposed to be reactored, so they're just mass marine production, but I don't have the gas to, so I held that off. Building medevacs, getting the siege tank. I have siege mode researched. I'm researching stem, and I've actually decided that I've hurt him a lot, so what I want to do at this point is make a stem time and attack. I want to push and get there right about the time that stem gets done.
And to be honest, any Terran build, a great time to push is as soon as stem pack comes out, because it makes our units so much more effective.
Yeah, the stem is really good. But in this case, what Zerg is going to do, especially if he has Mutalisk, he's going to harass you. He's going to force you to stem and chase him, and then he's going to fly away, and he's going to force you to stem and chase him. So if you don't have medevacs, you die, because you're going to stem so much that he's just going to be able to just fly back in, sneeze on you, and kill you. So you really have to have medevacs if you use stem liberally.
And as we see Stim Pack about to be finishing, and here comes your push like you were talking about. You want to get there when Stim finishes. One of those things that I feel like some lower level players don't quite understand. I mean, not by any fault of their own, but just is you really have to, get there when Stim finishes. You don't want to leave your base. And here's what you were talking about with those tanks. You see walking them up and keeping those Marines in front, and here's that spread.
Yeah, this actually I want to... Well, now this isn't a good spread right
but
now.
But you were. Here it is. You're doing it right now. But here we go. More, again, the tanks being walked up, leaving some siege, and moving. I don't know why you load guys up into there. I guess you misclicked.
That was actually that was a mistake. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that was a total mistake on my part. I was trying to move them, instead I right-clicked on a medevac, and so you see that actually cost me a tank. But it's still okay because he doesn't have very many Banelings at this point. He's saving his gas to try to get out some Mutalisks.
Yep, he actually has 5 Banelings, or 6 Banelings up on here, and you scan it. I mean, I don't know quite how you do.
I'm actually wanting to pause here in about 3, 2, 1.
Got it.
And just really look at, well, yeah. Go ahead and pause it.
I'm paused. I'm paused at 12:55.
I saw the Banelings up there because I just, somehow I think I scanned and saw them moving, and they never came in, so I just knew they were camping up there. But I really want to look at the placement of the Marines. Now, I don't have that many, but look at how they're spread out. You have none of them really... I mean, the biggest clump I have is 3. They're spread out, and so what I do in this situation, I tell them to hold position. Most of them will actually, or some of them will be on hold position anyway. And so why you tell them to hold position once you spread them like this is so that when the enemy unit starts to come within range, they'll rush forward. They'll try to attack it, and so they clump again. So if you tell them to hold position, they're going to stand their ground and force the Banelings to come to them. And if you stem when that happens, they are just going to waste a lot of Banelings trying to get to you. And in fact, if they can't kill more than 3 Marines with 1 Baneling, it's incredibly cost ineffective. So that's what I really want to point out. That's what I'm talking about by spreading these Marines out. I wish I had a larger army to do it with. I don't know that I do this game, but that's what I'm talking about. That's how you micro this, so that if in case he did have 5, 6, 7, 8 Banelings he's going to run in here, I would survive that battle. The tanks would do a lot of damage, and the Marines would finish it up.
like you guys to note, Siege Tank 14 kills and 6 kills apiece. They are starting to shell this hatchery, and I think we're going to start once again. We're actually going to watch you mess with these Banelings because you were having fun with it. So I'm starting in 3, 2, 1, play. And yeah, stimming up here, sacrificing SCVs, and one Marine kind of messed up, but this SCV, you know, happily tanking Baneling damage. And I mean, it's okay to lose one SCV to a Baneling. That's a great deal for you. And here's that spread we were talking about once again. Hold position, stim packing. Here comes the Mutalisks though.
Yeah, the Mutalisks come in, and this is one problem with not having the with having them hold position. They're not going to run to engage the Mutalisks. You actually got to do that. But the biggest thing I did here, I took down his hatchery. That was the goal of this push. That was amazing. I took it down. I am so far ahead by this point. This is probably where Zerg lost the game.
Yep, and now you're killing overlords, so it just icing on the cake, man. And here you go. You focus the spawning pool. That's huge. You actually lose this tank in transition, which is a little rough. But the Mutalisks, they're just not enough to deal with all these Marines. With that stim pack, and the medevac support is so key.
Like I said, Mutalisks lose a straight-up fight against Marines with stim and medevac support. They're going to lose it every time. So what I've decided to do, I know I'm going to lose this tank. I don't even know why I keep running Marines back and forth. I don't need it at this point. There's no more Zerglings. There's no more Banelings. If I see, bam, there goes the tank. So what I've decided to do is as much damage as humanly possible. I am taking down the Baneling nest. I don't want to morph anymore. I'm going to take down the spawning pool so that he can't make any more Zerglings, and that just really was the icing on the cake of this whole thing. By taking down his production facilities, he's screwed.
Yep, and as you guys note, I mean, WinterBorn's doing a good job keeping his minerals low, and actually lining up your Marines like that, even though he does get a lot of them with those Banelings, in a line like that, the Banelings are not affected because they come hit boom, 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 one at a time. So, I mean, even that's a pretty good, oh gosh, Mutalisks trying to kill your medevacs, dropping some Marines down, and not going to be able to hold with these guys, so kind of rough. Actually, they're doing a good job, though, because of all these medevacs, but, I mean, definitely, Mutalisks are going to barely win out in this battle.
Yeah, and right now, the Zerg is so far behind. He's on one base. The Zerg on one base is never happy. He has no spawning pool. He has no Baneling nest. He can't build anything but Mutalisks, and Mutalisks suck in a straight-up fight. So what he's going to do is try to harass the crap out of me with these Mutalisks, try to keep me on one base, try to keep me psychologically pinned down so that I am not going to push him again. But I know what he's doing because it's been done to me so many times, and I know exactly what's going on. So I'm just going to keep building up. You notice I'm actually getting these, finally getting these reactors so that I can just mass-produce Marines. I've got the combat shields. I've got some +1 upgrades coming. I've got the +1 attack, getting the armor. So the key is to not let yourself get hemmed in by Zerg like this, because he's going to harass the crap out of you with Mutalisks. He's going to fly over here. He's going to fly over there. He's going to attack this. And you have to react to it, but the best way to get over it is just simply to make a push, and I think you'll see me do that a little bit later on in the game.
Yep, and actually we see Baneling landmines going over here, kind of near the ramp to the gold. So something definitely very good. And Mutalisks coming here killing the reactors. That's actually something a lot of Zerg players do that is very pesky. Reactors take forever to build.
Yeah, and if you see, I'm actually having to spend a couple more resources on missile turrets, but my macro slipped a little bit in the fact that I have 1300. So yeah, you know, you actually see I'm getting a third base down here at the bottom, and that's huge.
Oh yeah.
Because you see the Zerg double expanding, trying to catch up.
And to be honest, that's the only way he's got a chance, because, I mean, Zerg, again, the larva mechanic means he has to be able to produce off more than one base. I mean, 7 larvae, you know, there's no way he can deal with 3 barracks. Oop, actually, he cancels your expansion with those Mutalisks, but it's gonna force.
See,
push time. Sorry, you can do your thing.
That's basically that's what I was gonna say, is that I know he's harassing the crap out of me, so I'm just gonna push. You know, it's like I'm gonna force him to come to me, and I'm gonna do some medevac job.
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh no! Oh god! Oh, that was
landmine.
Oh, and here we go. Leaving the tanks. Risky, but here we go. Marines are coming back to fight them off. And Zerg knows he's in trouble. You can tell. I mean, he's got nothing left.
Yeah, around this point, actually, the tanks are not as important as the Marines. The Marines are what I'm really focusing on. Tanks are good, But I know he's not going to have that many Zerglings because I took down his nest. I know he's not going to have that many Banelings because I took down his nest, which is why I'm not spreading as much as I was earlier. But right now, Marines are definitely what's important. I am spreading a little bit because I am slightly worried against Zerg. You never know.
And there we go, guys. You actually saw it right there. That was perfect. Now grabbing groups of 2 and 3 and 1 and just pulling them apart because, I mean, Banelings are absolutely ineffective when they're hitting this stuff. Again, that hatchery goes down. And, I mean, Zerg is just really has nowhere to go.
Yeah, he's very far behind. He's back on 2 bases. One base isn't even really working that well. And I see the Banelings morphing. I'm going to come in and try to kill as many of them as I can. Splitting, spreading all over the place.
If here comes the Banelings.
Even so, still a lot of Marines die with that. A lot of Marines die. But all in all, it's still fairly good. I still have some Marines left that are killing some Mutalisks and more coming in. So even a perfect spread is not going to let you win against Banelings. But still, think about you're forcing him to use up all that gas. He has no gas anymore.
Nope, and you killed his hatchery once again, and that is huge, especially his natural. You know, he doesn't feel safe with his bases split up like this. Here comes your Marines killing more Mutalisks. I mean, he's being forced to pull drones. This is pretty much, last ditch. You have a Marine load up in his medevac. I'm very cross with you.
I don't know why I keep doing that.
Oh, you lost him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right clicking in that area, and it just loads up.
I mean, you look at the base. I mean, he's got. Let me check the units tab once again. I mean, look, you have 53 SCVs. He has 13 drones. I mean,
and in fact, you notice this is when he actually quits. Is when he sees that I'm securing this 3rd expansion, and there's nothing he can do about it. So now he knows it's basically 3 bases to pretty much 1, and all he has is 2 Mutalisks. He doesn't have any gas to build anything because he hasn't been harvesting it. And he's so at this point that there's nothing he can do, literally.
And this is what the build is designed to do. We talk about, how bad it can be if you let the Zerg get on all those bases, but I mean the constant pushing, prodding, the pressure is what makes this build so effective. I mean, Steve-O, he had the right idea, but what he was lacking were these, these gentle tank pushes. You kind of just working your way in, and here comes that final push, and he just leaves. Because, I mean, there's just nothing he can do. And that's what you really want to make happen when you're playing Terran, when you're trying to do these tank marine kind of builds. You gotta break them.
Definitely. And you can, let me say how to word this. You do not have to harass against Zerg, I would say. If you do a good, strong tank, marine, stem timing push, you can still win. There's a guy in our clan named Ballertron who's a master Terran player. He's been in the top 200 before. Amazing with timing pushes. His timing push against Zerg is so strong that he wins, like, what is it, 70, 80% of his Zerg matchups? It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And he does it because he knows precisely when they're popping Mutalisks, and he hits right then. They don't have anything out, really. So in those situations, if you have the right unit combination, which is the same one I use, I think, as a Marine tank, and it just hits and spreads out and micros really, really well, you don't have to harass. I like to try to harass a little bit, and this harass is very good in the fact that it unlocks all your tech paths. It's not the 2 racks bunker that you're like, oh crap, now I got to build a factory, or oh crap, now I got to build a starport. You already have everything, and you can do the 2-prong attack is not easy to do. It has to be learned. You have to learn to micro like this. And you notice I did just basically I told my medevac to drop using shift pathing. I'm like, fly around here and drop right there and just start killing things. Had it in a control group. Had my Hellions in another control group, running them all over the place. Oh, like, oh, look at me, I'm dangerous. Oh crap, that's right, I dropped in your back. Now what? Same time, ran them back behind, and then I left them. Let them fry drones, flipped back over to my medevac, grabbing the Marines, doing their micro. Basically left the Hellions alone from that part on. So you're not going to be able to do 2 things at once unless you're pro. And I mean, even the pros can't do 2 things at once. They just do 1 thing at once so quickly it looks like 2 things at once. But learning to micro like this is not easy, but it's something that you